General Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Allahomsi yayingiza, Allahomsi yabhiyoza. Siyabonga, siyabulela ngemisebenzi yakhe. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, sigileni utata wethu. Sigileni uGeneral Mbatha, yemisebenzi yakhe.
The SA Army Infantry Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Mutluba, the SA Army Support Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Mphahlele, to the SA Army ADA Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Mukwena, the SA Army Armor Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Nkosi, the SA Army Engineer Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Mukone, the SA Army Intelligence Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Dr. Mchaisa, the SA Army Signal Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Nchona, the SA Army Training Formation Chaplain, Chaplain Zungu, the SA Army 4th Brigade Chaplain, Chaplain Tabane, the SA Army 4th Brigade Chaplain, Chaplain Hebst, chaplains from various units, senior officers, junior officers, the Chief Warrant Officer of Corporate Services, Chief Warrant Officer McLoon, Regimental Sergeant Major of the Infantry School, Master Warrant Officer Pillay, Warrant Officers present, senior and junior non-commissioned officers, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Chief, I saw it fit that before I greet you, say I allow your choir just to welcome you before we proceed. Chief, this is the Infantry School Choir that got the 2nd position during our SA Army Choir competitions that took place in Kimberley. I'm going to request them to give us the last one. And Africans will say, Avarama, yeah. Then we can get it. Here from Avarama, yeah, and also come via those can be given of here. Also, if of
Nimnandi kama Nimnandi kama Jesu Nimnandi kama Nimnandi kama nako Nimnandi kama Jesu Nimnandi kama Bam bam sarade.
in our midst, we have the commander of the landward forces, the leader of the pride of lions. Without him, the pride has got no direction. Without him, it's impossible for the pride to be able to identify a prey to devour. Without him, the roaring sound of the pride can never be heard. Without him, all nations will never tremble. But through him, by God's grace and power that is vested upon him, when he leads the pride, all enemies of the pride, they have to withdraw and give space to the pride. Because when the pride roars, the whole jungle must submit. Hence you see the logo of the army is the face of a lion. Hence standing in front of you. With a very same breath, allow me to invite the officer commanding of infantry school to come forward and to introduce the chief to us, so that our commander can speak to us. Chief, to us it's an honor that you are with us today. Some of the chaplains here, Chief, they only see you from a distance, but today, to them it's a privilege that at least the commander of the landward forces is here to address them. Thank you so much.
Chief Officer, may I proceed? Chief of the South African Army, Lieutenant General L.K. Mbatha. General, may you please allow me to align myself with the protocol that Moruti Tau has already alluded. I don't even know what to say, General, after that laying of the ground by Chaplain down. General, mine is very simple. As the officer commanding of infantry school, a center of excellence within the South African Army, I just want to bid you a hearty welcome within our unit. It is always a privilege and a pleasure to host the Chief of the Army in our midst. General, yesterday, when I was welcoming the chaplains, I said, there is nothing that can go wrong in this region this week because the chaplains are here. They have ascended here. I believe all of them, when they pray, maybe I will also win lotto this week. Because of that, General, yet today we were supposed to have a water outage. And that water outage, I believe because of their prayers, I said nothing could go wrong. And here we are with water running through our taps today. So mine is to say, General, your chaplains are here of the Army, and I believe they are eagerly waiting to hear from the one who leads us. So General, with those few words, may I request that you come and address the chaplains. Sir.
Let me start off. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Let me start off by acknowledging and thanking the OC, the Officer Commanding of Infantry School, General Sukhobedo. Now, whilst I'm thanking her, just take note that we are commemorating this month. So many years ago, I came and I visited and I accompanied the former Minister of Defense. Whilst I was accompanying her, because she's a very motherly figure, it was at that point in time that it triggered to me that infantry school requires a motherly figure. And there was no better person at the ultimate end with the experience and the wisdom to be the person that came and became the leader and the mother of this unit. Thank you also. I told her there is something interesting about infantry school. I'm not sure how many of you have been in this part of the world or have stayed in this part of the world, because I've stayed here for 3 years. I've met her all the time, all the areas, but in infantry school, once you have spent more than 6 months, even the gels and the Vaselines don't work here. I said to her in Soto, it's infantry school. In Afrikaans, they said it's asphalt. That's infantry school. If you know this part of the world, it has a way of making you feel part of it. Once you are here, you are left with no option but to be part of this community, because you will realize that you are part of infantry school. Now again, before I start, I must acknowledge Murutitau. Thank you very much, Mutua. It became clear during the course of last week that it's a tussle that I'm not going to win. We were heading towards, I think it's a pullover, it's a tussle. That's the only way to say it. Where it was clear that Chaplain, you will have to change that date. Now, before I could start, Muruti said it very clearly. It's now for the 3rd time that we have postponed it. And you see, that's a loaded statement. And it was quite clear, if anybody can reverse that decision, I think the OC said it very well, you can't take chances with chaplains. So we didn't want a curse. We said to the army, rather let us have concurrent activities running, because you can't stop it now. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to explain it. Allow me also not to follow the protocol, because I believe, Murutitawi, you have said it very well. And I think from the choir, the Holy Spirit prevailed quite well. This is what we'll say. Allow me to start off by saying to all of you in your presence, and please understand me in context where I'm going to start, because I'm not sure how to define this month. Is it about heroism? Is it about pain? Is it about struggle? But what I know, it is part of our national calendar. Oliver Regional Tambo, an icon and a crystal that kept the liberation struggle focused towards a new dawn of our political democracy, once said, I quote, "The place of our women is not in the kitchen, but in the forefront of our battlefields." Close quotes. Hence I said, I'm not quite sure how to define this month. August month is commemorated as a Women's Month, as part of our national calendar, reminding us of their heroic stand displayed during the 1956 march to the Union Building, echoing a voice of freedom and total emancipation from political poverty and patriarchal oppression. that struggle is far from being over within our society. Though we might enjoy political freedom, gender-based violence against our women and children, especially the elderly and the most vulnerable, our children, are exposed to shocking crimes committed by those who should be their protectors and their providers. It should be reminding us, all of us, as we have gathered here, of a 4-year-old girl from El Dorado Park who was physically abused and violated by her own father. She succumbed, and we should be haunted by the pain endured by that little girl, who I doubt in my mind even understood what was going on to her and why she had to endure and to suffer in that manner. The cry of this little girl that is no more represents the many who are still vulnerable in our society. Hence I said, the struggle waged by our women in 1956 is far from being over. Acting chaplain of the SA Army, Chaplain Tau. Allow me once again to acknowledge the officer commanding Colonel Skobelo, our chaplains in attendance, ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, if they are also here. Allow me to say it is a great honor, beyond measure for me, on behalf of the collective of the Pride, to open the 2025 installment of the South African Army Chaplains Symposium here in Oudtshoorn. Today we have gathered here as a community of spiritual leaders, united in our commitment to serving those who serve, and to recognize the vital role you play in supporting our members, their families, and their loved ones. Some of you may not be aware that it is not my first time to address you in this platform as a commander of the South African Landward Forces, which speaks volumes about the monumental tasks and responsibilities entrusted to you. As military leaders, we are acutely aware that spiritual well-being forms part of a broader strategy to prepare our personnel for the challenges that lies ahead. It is a vital component in addressing the holistic needs of our members, and it demands more than mere word. It requires tangible spiritual support and care. As chaplains, you understand the unique challenges faced by our military personnel and that of their families and loved ones. You are also cognizant of the sacrifices they make, the triumphs they achieve. Your ministry is undoubtedly a beacon of hope, comfort, and strength in times of adversity and uncertainty. I charge you to continue providing exemplary spiritual leadership and to remain a steadfast source of support for our members under the current constrained circumstances. We are finding ourselves due to severe underfunding or budget cuts, yet we continue to execute our mandate as a military ecosystem as the Pride. The Chaplain Surplus Service is a vital cog of our glorious organization. It is an important voice, an important part of the conversation at this pivotal moment in the history of our beloved country. That is determined to transform our institutional culture through redefining, refining, and by maintaining the momentum as a critical success factor. Through adversities, as we restore the dignity of the South African landward force to its rightful glory. As the South African Army chaplaincy, we must evolve and become the best that we can be. An inclusive subsidiary of the South African Army, where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Concretely, it is expected of us as the South African Army to be determined and to be an employee of choice in a very competitive labor market within the defense community. More fundamentally, as chaplains that represent and embodies the values that are so dear to our Almighty, rebuilding trust is a practical necessity and a moral imperative. As part of our broader vision to serve and support our personnel, you must be determined to rebuild trust, foster spiritual growth, and promote holistic being. I'm deliriously delighted that this important conference is being held again this year, particularly during the significant month in which we commemorate Women's Month. I wish all the women a happy and a Women's Month as they endeavor to define, refine, and claim their space in society. I said I'm not sure whether should I define this month as a heroic, as a celebration, or a sad month. I refer to a young girl, which reminds me of an elderly in Limpopo, without specifying the time, the place and time. An elderly chopped to pieces and buried within the confines of a yard. As we celebrate this month, I did mention that how the need arose for a female to be here. And it is not in my nature sometimes to be silent and to be quiet. I was accompanying our former minister, the Honorable Minister Mbatha, and I must say, I was deeply touched when I saw through the media circles, while she was appearing in court, and seeing her in tears. Above all, we are all human beings. And I'm praying that we must have her in our prayers. We are not here to judge. We are not here to tell the judges what to do. But we are just saying, once in our life, I walked this path with her. She has led us. Seeing her in pain and crying. In my language, there is a saying that says, now, being a clergyman, I'm standing in a platform. When I say she might not be the only one and many more others that are out there, let us keep them in their prayers during their darkest moments. Allow me to say, women are a special brand, and without them, there is no peace and stability. This symposium is a testament to our shared dedication to providing spiritual support and care to our members. Over the next 5 days or so, we came together to share our experiences, learn from each other, let alone explore new ways of ministering to those in need. The basic and main purpose of a chaplain is to listen, is to care, and respond appropriately to a client's need. Specific duties may include performing liturgies, praying with clients, family or dependents, conducting funeral services, providing bereavement, counseling, and general ministry. Chaplains focus on the total person, providing emotional, pastoral, and spiritual support, whilst also being available to speak about issues of faith. They contribute tremendously to the well-being of our soldiers. There are 4 functional capabilities of a chaplain. If I'm wrong, please, you will forgive me. To provide, to facilitate, to advise, and care through management. I'm saying if I'm wrong, you will forgive me because I will exploit you for that. Because these are clergymen, I'm expecting them to forgive me. I'm saying that oftentimes in our society, you will see people going to church on Sunday. You know, the OC was saying, nothing will go wrong. I said to my team and my members, we are coming here to address very holy people. Don't do anything wrong in the rooms before we stand in front of them. Because they can sense it and they can see it. So I don't want when I'm there, they must say, Luckily they understood. Helping soldiers to deal with tension and on how to live with integrity. Muridida, allow me to say, chaplains must assist us as they are our ethical and moral barometer in the global security environment. Your role as chaplains is to deepen our understanding of our ever-evolving and more complex global security environment, in which the rule based on international order that we have known for decades is under pressure, fragile and vulnerable. The existence of humanity is threatened. Faced with that essentiality constitutes a reorganization of things. We can no longer take for granted the peace and prosperity which this environment has given for generations. To ease the tension a little bit because we look too serious. I came across Murutwaka, it was a TikTok show. It was very interesting because I thought of it this morning. Now, it was a priest in a sermon. I think some of you might be familiar with it. Said there was a couple who were about to go on holiday. But by the look of things, things didn't go well. So the husband had to leave first, and the wife had to come after a week. So we had to go and book and make all the necessary arrangements. So on his arrival, that other side, where they were planning to go, he then typed a message, an email. Then as he pressed it on the computer, unfortunately, it did not go to his wife. It went to the wrong email address. And that wrong email address happened to land on a widower. Hallelujah. Who had just buried her husband that day. Now, after burying her husband, it is common cause, she said, I know there might be those who might not have been able to come, but surely there should be messages on the computer. Let me go and press. Dade Masemola, she pressed and then she collapsed. Then the daughter, the son came and wanted to see, but what has happened? Why has my mother collapsed? Here is the message on the computer. My love, I've arrived safely this side. Everything is in place. They even have computers and everything. I can assure you, they are just waiting for you tomorrow. So what made the wife to collapse was, I am going to die tomorrow. Not realizing that message was meant for somebody else. So, so I was in an increasingly multipolar world with authoritarian states on our sides, liberal democracies on the other, a number of states in the middle, watching, waiting, wondering which way the balance is going to swing, and ready to line up behind whoever seems to have the most to offer. In the same vein, we must also accept terrorist groups, complex criminal organizations, and extremist elements, including some in South Africa, are threatening stability and security all over the world. New technologies, from artificial intelligence to quantum computing to hypersonic weapons, are changing the face of warfare. We are called upon to defend our interests, not just on land, at sea, and in the air, but on emerging domains of conflict, such as space. And all these are happening in the context of world disrupted by climate change, mass migration, political polarization, and cultural conflict. Now, as chaplains, you are called to give unequivocal and unwavering support to such complex and toxic environments. Your training is correct to respond and make a meaningful contribution without applying an orthodox attitude. Chaplains are not immune from the aforementioned challenges. You are our radar in navigating such challenges. To express the magnitude of this challenge is very painful because it also affects you as chaplains. As we define, refine, and restore the dignity of the South African Army, your concept is central in the fight. Your calling speaks volumes to us as soldiers, as you walk, as you talk, and as you live. Somewhere, somehow, some of our soldiers have lost some sense of understanding why we are here in the military. The people who are meeting them continuously as chaplains in your ministry, either by presence or otherwise. Drugs and alcohol is very rife in our bases and worse in the combat areas. What is that we are not doing right? It's a question that we need to ask ourselves as we deliberate during the course of this week. The rate of divorces has reached an alarming proportion. Let us tackle those questions. Lack of discipline in our soldiers is a matter of grave crisis. I call this a pandemic, but I'm not moved even though things are like that. If we have defeated the microscopic enemy like COVID-19, which have sent a wave of panic across the globe, this signals the inevitability of our victory in this regard. We have the power to radically alter this situation, and I firmly believe that chaplains are part of the solution, not the problem. Some of our people are facing challenges of epic proportions and desperately need help. A voice for help and a cry for help. It is imperative that we provide the necessary assistance, as this is a matter of vital importance that requires a collective effort, all hands on deck. And this renewal is the responsibility of every single person who wears the uniform, irrespective of their ranks, roles, or service. But our crisis of culture is also a crisis of leadership, and we must acknowledge it. And in my role as Chief of the South African Army, I am personally committed to repairing our military credibility, to rebuilding the trust that is essential to our success as an institution and a military ecosystem. Chaplains, I am making an impassionate plea on a renewed emphasis on rebuilding personal strength. Indeed, the strength of our people and our culture are issues of national security, because our people need us to be at their best. To remain ready and relevant, it is important that we invest in sweeping upgrades to our sustainment function and our digitization of efforts. And we have to recognize that our current force design is not yet meeting the challenge. How we approach operations and manage our people, both regular and reserves, is of paramount importance inwardly and outwardly speaking. As the commander of the Land Guard Force, allow me to say that earlier this year, we were inspired beyond words by the manner in which our chaplains conducted their dedication service at Army HQ, Murutwaka, which emphasized the vital necessity to have this occasion of great significance. Your significant role in presenting resilience programs to our MSDS intakes and the current administering of our heroes and heroines returning from the DRC as they are reintegrating back into their family lives, their communities, and their military units is not an easy assignment for you as the chaplaincy to manage. As the pride, we bow our heads to you for managing this difficult assignment in such a professional manner. Thank you. Bye, danki, siyabule. By the same token, we should not omit to emphasize and underscore the special role which our choirs are playing in the military, as demonstrated today within our landscape. Our chaplains have moved with all due speed in giving fresh impetus to choral music in the South African Army, and the morale among our choristers in various competitions was high as it ever was before. I really want to thank the chaplaincy for that. I've said for some of you, and I'm aware that some of the chaplains have just joined us, I believe they will join us and they will be here to stay. If you have seen our member standing in front here, I was speaking to the OC yesterday. He said at some point she was very confused. You know, change is not an easy thing to manage. To move from a comfort zone whilst there is vertical growth, and at that point in time, you are chosen to say you must go there. It's not easy. It is not as simple as people think. it might appear to be. But she took on that responsibility, and she said a very important thing to me yesterday. That, you know, Chief, as I'm addressing my members, at the end of the day, I have to remind them that I have to go home and cook. Because I don't have a husband. By saying that, I'm not inviting anybody close to me. I have to do it myself because I have to ensure that I lay them to bed. I said, that's the reason why you came here. We needed a family figure. I said, what you did in all the units that you have been, what you did in Trisai, you have to finish it in infantry school. Yours is not to go to nice now. That's not the reason why you're here. It's always, Chaplain Herbs, important to define purpose. Now, we were chatting together, and I said, understand that there is a reason for everything. Because as I was monitoring her, how she's establishing relationships in the environment, I must say to you, at some point we had lost the community. In a military unit that is not closer to the local communities, you must know that something is not right. And I must thank you, OC, for doing a very good job in that. Yes. Now you'll understand why are you part of the SWAT. It was exactly that reason. Now, the chaplains, your zeal and your dedication to do best whenever you are given a task is always amazing. It's always amazing. Let me express my gratitude for a well-organized event in Kimberley, Murutwaka. By those who were there, when they told me the report, I felt thrilled again. And I felt honored to hear about such efforts being put in a developing creativity in order to come out with such a resounding activity. In the recent past, matters pertaining to choral music gained prominence in our discussions. We set numerous milestones, and it was reported that you have performed exceptionally well in all of them, portraying the SA Army chaplaincy as a force for good. In fact, I must say, whenever you do good and you influence the space, you must know you are on the right path. The chaplain general was standing next to me. I'm not sure who was influencing who. He was saying, I'm also going to have my choirs. Then I knew that the chaplaincy did very well. Because for this period of lull, you did it so well, Murutwaka, up until that realization it was clear that it cannot be ignored. It doesn't matter whether we are in pain, it doesn't matter whether we are constrained, it doesn't matter that we are going through losses, but singing has a message, and it is a message of comfort. And I think it must be understood. That is why I'm saying to you, you need to understand that you have done something great and you might not realize it today. If you would have seen them wherever they are, it doesn't mean that their souls are not troubled. It does not mean that they are not challenged. But they were able to shake all of us inside this room. Even if you are not a believer, you would have realized that I think if God did not enter through the main door, he should have came through the window. But I suspect that something has happened. So that is how you see the visibility of the chaplains. And you could see Murutita, who I've never heard somebody saying, let's repeat and repeat. I was not sure. Must I call the chaplaincy to say, can you pray so that the chaplain must say we must stop because we cannot tell him to stop. So it is one of those great moments in our life. I'm saying we are constrained. But it does not mean if we are constrained, we will have to feel or appear as if we are defeated. I said you guys are amazing. This is how the pride is amazing. Under all the constraints, under all the challenges, our best performance cannot be ignored. Oftentimes, you stand in front saying, we are leaders. But there are times where you realize that an amazing spirit becomes what inspires you as a leader. As a leader this time. Where they will be saying that we might have challenges, but they will remind you, why are you there? And they are saying to you, you cannot quit now. That is the integrity of human life. Where you realize the one that is led ends up inspiring you. You inspire each other. And that is the interconnectedness. That is why I said the importance of what you guys have achieved and how you have continued to pay attention to it, Murutwaka. The previous symposiums offered informed perspectives that deserve space in the corporate memory of the South African Army. And we must ensure that these insights are integrated into our future endeavors. Well done, men and women of our cloth. I think it is fair enough for me to say, give yourselves again a round of applause. We do what we do, and after we have done it, we run to you and say, pray for us. And after we have prayed for us, we go back again. This is how we take advantage of you, but I think that's the reason why you are there. Now, being a Catholic, we always have that period, and those, I think you know it better, of confession. So we do it, and then we say, Father, I'm here, and I'm asking for forgiveness. I am not sure after that has happened, you really stop. You go back again. I was saying it's like people who takes the waters of mortality, you know. They have a nice way, you know, human beings. They have a nice way of blending it. You must not say it's liquor. Sorry, don't say it's drunk or beer or this or that. They don't like that word. They have a nice way of defining their lifestyle and how they approach life. They say they don't drink those waters to be tipsy, but they drink those waters to be strong, and those waters give them energy. What type of energy, I do not know. But they survive. That is the interesting part about life. And I said I bow my head to them because sometimes they don't sleep. And they wake up normal with the rest of us in the morning. And they survive the day. We owe it to our collective approach in defining our right path towards the modernization of the South African Army by displaying our strategic brilliance and accountability in honoring our mandate as the pride. Your role as the chaplaincy remains vital and important to think beyond this difficult time. The welfare of our soldiers should be at the center of our collective wisdom in addressing their needs and making them feel that they are part of a caring collective leadership. We therefore need your divine intervention and spiritual support from you as our chaplains, and please never underestimate your presence. I might be standing here today, but remember I'm a product of the environments that I've traveled. And I normally say to people, without the chaplains, we could not have been here. There are times as a leader, and I was saying it to the OC, you are at your most vulnerable individual. It is so lonely to be there. You are so vulnerable to mistakes, believe me, because you are alone. And you have to discharge that responsibility. When I'm talking about the welfare of our soldiers, I'm saying the welfare of our GOCs. And here is Murutita, we will tell you our last fight that we nearly had. You don't say you fight with the chaplain. I said to him, You see, if you are going to send me prayers through SMS or WhatsApp, no, I don't think those ones are correct. Because these machines, I think they are devilish in a way. I was trying to say to her, with me as chief of the army, I did it to Roos, I did it to many, because this is how I grew in the system. You need that moment where you sit down with your chaplain, Muritima Somula Nosi, Chaplain Hems Nosi, where you go and pray for your leader because times are not easy. Go and pray for your leader, don't stand by. You know, one day I was a PSO, the office of the chief. You could see what your leader is going through. I went to Chaplain Bosiki and said, Mfundisi Bosiki, go in. Without asking for permission. You know, when he came out, he said, what you did. I said, what happened? He said, he cried and he cried and he cried. I said, the fact of the matter that he's a human being. To carry this yoke, it's too heavy. It is too heavy. I'm trying to say to you, don't look at us as leaders and castigate us as if you are above. You are not above. That is the reason why we said you must attend the extended ACC. It is not to add numbers, because to deal with the welfare of our units and of our members, you cannot be left outside. You must be part of the deliberations like you will be deliberating this week, to discuss the issues that you will be raising. That is why I said to Murutitau, and then he prayed. Because you realize that you need the presence of your spiritual leader or mentor. Yeah. So that is my plea to you. Whatever that you will be doing here, including our new chaplains, do it, because I am also doing it, and I believe others have been doing it. Where I say, chaplain, you don't need to have an appointment. Say, I have to see now. That's the reason why I want all of us must understand that part. We might look masculine, we might look strong, but just remember one thing, we are made of flesh. So, when I say the ordinary, I'm not referring to the ordinary truth. And you will be surprised, and let me tell you something. You know, those guys that are below there, they have developed a resiliency that will surprise us. I normally say to my senior officers and the rank-carrying people, there is something strange with the NCOs. There is something strange with the troops. As we celebrate Women's Month, sit down with those guys and see the remarkable connectedness that they have to their families. How many of you here today, I'm not saying it badly, with humility to the chaplains, the pay sheets are known at home? I'm referring to the men, to the brotherhood. Because to the brotherhood, there is a belief that the moment she sees the pay sheet, you will not live longer. Is that true? I do not know. But go and see and look at those guys. I said, you know, there is something we don't realize. They have accepted their way of life. They are above pain because they have accepted it. So the problem might not be with them. The problem might be here. So I'm trying to say to you, as Murutuaga, we have this special relationship. To say, pray. Pray for us during these difficult times. These are not easy times. They are not meant to be easy. But we are together. As much as we have to ask for spiritual support from you, We take note of the difficulties you might encounter whilst executing your assignments on a daily basis, due to the unfair ratio of our chaplains within the SA Army versus the total number of units totaling to 163. We have 163 units, and within those units, just alone, this unit alone, the number of students that are here are 800 and something. I'm not even talking about the staff members. And some saying, how many of those reservists, we are saying we are going through difficult times. Now one chaplain, Munchu, has to move and run the whole Northern Cape alone. I'm not saying it's like that, Murti Munchu, because he will now go and confront the chaplains and say, the chief has just confirmed that you must promote me. I'm trying to say, I've been part of a unit known as ASB Johannesburg. If you are in that part of the world, is there a chaplain that is coming from there, that is here? He knows what I'm talking about. The funerals, the activities in that area. I was with Abu Mangombani. They burn out. They burn out. It is in those environments that you realize that you have to plead for your chaplains to go and rest. Because Johannesburg, you have funerals that are coming from all over. It's not only the army. That sense of humor kicks in. Hence I'm saying, in as much as we are asking from you, it is very important that due to this unfair ratio, Murutwaka, surely you also require that we as the collective of the Pride should stand by you all the time. You need our support also for this mammoth assignment to fulfill. We are with you all the way. We might not provide you with everything. We might not provide you with brand new cars. But one thing that I know, at least it starts and it goes forward. This is what I know. The rest, it is spiritual, divine to take it further. I was saying it because within our resuscitation program, Murtita will tell you, there is a special part where these vehicles, wherever they get them, they belong to the chaplains. Because to wait, you see, I'm from Kimberley. I know some might look surprised. Mbatha, you are listening to Tau speaking Afrikaans. Eh? That part of the world, you will be surprised. That part of the world was spread by us saying Afrikaans. Eh? I've seen people saying that Mbatha in Afrikaans. That's the Northern Cape. That's the Northern Cape. In essence, what I'm trying to say, Murutwaka we might not have, but with the little that we have, we share. That is why we took a decision to say, let's wait for new cars. And I will tell you why, guys, not to you. We said, let's prioritize the chaplains. Because cars that are bought all over, they end up in the graveyards. I was with Chaplain Hebbs Academy. We only had 4 Chevrolets, 4. Now, if you understand the status of the military academy, 4. You are given 4 cars. What comes to your mind, because we were a very close community, was to share it amongst us. We give 1 to the faculty, we give 1 to the section of development, I give 1 to my adjutant. I'm not sure, did I give you 1, chaplain? I'm not sure. I don't want you to say, but you forgot me that time. But the moment you come to Pretoria, and I think Sekobelo should be going through that, when you are outside, you start seeing things that you cannot comprehend. Everybody's driving a new car. Now, if you understand the situation in Saldanha in a unit like this and CTC, The distance from main campus from SAS, from Military Academy is 185 kilometers a single trip. If you combine it, it's almost 300 to 400 kilometers. Now that car must be shared amongst them. Those cars must take you through. What influenced your mind is when I reached Pretoria, I didn't know I was going to be a 2-star. It is at that moment when I said I came across a unit called PMTC. I don't think I'm friends with them up until today. Because out of what I saw there, I saw more vehicles than the personnel inside the unit. And tell me, you know what happened there? They drive vehicles, when it runs out of petrol, they go to the next one. I took all those vehicles, I gave them to the academy, and they are still looking after them. So it is not true that when it is old, it reminds me of one of my old sergeant majors. He has retired. I used to say to him, but here is some more. He looks so old. He said, nee, you can so say me. My vrouw sê ek is jong. When a man says that, who am I to argue? He says, you can't say I'm old. My wife says I'm young. That's the story behind it. So we were saying, they might look old, Muritiwaka, but behind it is the thought to say, let's dedicate it to their effort. You can't exploit them and demand. Something must carry them. And the voice came out even from Chaplain Ruas to say, but Chief, some of the cars that they are driving, they are stacking around the road. And some of them are using their own cars. So I want to say, we know that yours is not easy. But we are not blind about that. And we are not taking advantage of you. But most importantly, we need you. Once again, thank you for your dedication, and may this symposium enrich your partnership in serving those who serve. Let us begin this journey together with open hearts and minds, and may God bless our endeavors. I've said to you, I don't understand this month. It is characterized by a number of things, including perpetual struggles. Who said men are not struggling? Who said so? On the 9th of August, when I arrived at home, I was told, "Di pizza, di pote, di leg." I said no. All of a sudden on the 9th of August, and these pots have been cooking very well. I had to say that, no ways. Let's go and weld them. She said to me, what do you mean weld them? Have you ever seen the pizza welding? And I grew up from my street. We had an old man called Omlipoi. You know, we take pots there and they weld it. But, you know, I want to say something, Baruti. Those pots have been cooking very well. There was no, but on that night, I was told, no, you have to go and buy new pots because they are leaking. It's a world of amen. And the kids were also surprised because, you know, in a family, we are all family people. We look at each other and say, hey, but these pots have just cooked. Remember, you know, as you grow up, you learn the art of making peace. And it's a sign of maturity. How I want to conclude this, I want to say those who are involved in those crimes, perpetuating fear, committing those atrocities, are not men. They don't represent us. They are animals. Even animals are better. So it should be understood in that context that we are also struggling to understand this pain. So allow me to conclude. Remember, as I quote our former statesman and our democratically elected icon when he said, I quote, open quotes, honor belongs to those who never forsake the truth, even when things seem dark and grim, who try over and over again who are never discouraged by insults, humiliation, and defeat. Close quotes. I think that is very befitting for you. Allow me on behalf of the collective of the Pride to declare this symposium for the week officially open. God's blessings and strength, I thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Colleagues, we really thank God for the Chief of the SAMA. Chief, for this time, I'm going to invite Chaplain Mbatha to come forward. While Chaplain Mbatha is coming forward, I will also invite our Chief to please come forward. We just want to appreciate you, sir.
I will definitely not disclose it now.
Again, Chief, allow me to invite the OC Infantry School to please come forth. May I kindly request your presence, Colonel. Chief, the OC and Chaplain Mbatha, they were together on the DRC. They were difficult moments.